Good morning and welcome to another edition of Education's Credit Union podcast, The Core, where we are planting the seeds for your financial future. I'm joined this morning by our Senior Vice President of Member Experience, Jen Ufford, and today we're talking about cybersecurity. And that's a big umbrella term thrown around in modern discourse of like keeping your data, keeping your information, keeping your data secure. Well, what does data mean within this context?
Sure. For the individual consumer, it just means anything that holds personal identifying information. So, your bank account information, your bank account history, your medical history, your credit report, anything that has, I know we talked about passwords, Wi-Fi, anything that's going to really have anything that can relate back to you as a person.
And so, there's the classic driver's license number, social security number that always should be kept safe and relatively private, but it's so much more than that. It's much broader. And back in my day, people looking through your mail and things like that was a thing, but now people get things digitally. And so, keeping your Wi-Fi password safe and keeping your personal home network safe is also important. Now, as the Senior Vice President of Member Experience, member privacy, member safety is a significant portion of your job. So there are going to be those voices that ask, if that's your job and I have all these other things that I'm responsible for. If this is your job, what's my part in it? What is my responsibility in keeping my information safe?
Really, it starts with you. You're the first line of defense as the consumer, because so often we see scammers or people that have ill intent, however you want to word that. They use your trust to access your accounts, to access your funds, and to take advantage of whatever situation you're in. So we can do everything we possibly can on the back end, but when it really comes to how you operate and respond to text messages and respond to emails that you think could be fishy, it's those people that have that ill intent. They're going to use your trust and I hate to say naive, but the naiveness of the consumer to take advantage of that situation.
Well, just that basic lack of, again, not knowing what to look for, not knowing what to be aware of. And, a criminal rarely looks like a criminal. It's going to be one of those things like a text message that looks like it's from a friend or a private message on a social media network that comes from a friend's account. It's going to be those things that you don't expect. That's how they get to be successful.
And right now you get so inundated with text messages from merchants and retailers and even your financial institution. You get emails of the same number and capacity, probably more. And so to distinguish which ones really are, real or not, it's up to you to really make sure that you trust that.
Yeah, and being aware of where you've made those connections. Local shops or whatever will send you text messages if you sign up for their emails to get their discounts or whatever. So did you remember signing up for this and what have you? People are cautious about sharing their personal identifying information, even with a financial institution. How do we address that, overcoming those barriers of how much information should a member give us?
Sure. There is a lot of regulation around what information we are required to get to make sure that we're doing business with the right people and that we're not doing business with bad actors. So it's ultimately to protect you. It's to protect the credit union or the institution that you're doing business with, and to protect our community, to make sure that those bad actors, that we're not helping support whatever activity they're trying to do.
Absolutely. How often does, we talk about it and it happens to everyone, it can happen to you at any moment, all that language, but how often does ECU encounter scammers or fraudulent activity?
Unfortunately, it happens very frequently. It is a normal part of our daily jobs, which is a normal in our industry. It's not just ECU that gets affected by this. It's a norm in our industry.
Yeah, and money's money. Either that's one of the things that people are, and we're a financial institution. That's how we have to be aware. What should a member do? What should any person do if they feel like their data, their identity, what have you, has been compromised? Like if they go on annualcreditreport.com and, I never lived at that address, or, that's my first and last, but not my middle name, but all my other information. What should they do if they feel they've been compromised?
So if you feel like you're compromised, I would first contact your financial institution. Call us. Let us make sure that all of your ducks are in a row with us. If it needs a member number change, right? We can help you with that. And then contact any other financial institution that you do business with. Then depending on the severity of the situation, it might require a freeze on your credit report, which can help protect you. And we can help walk you through some of those things too. But first things first, call us and let's make sure all your accounts are in the right hands.
Because again, first things first, they're going to go for your money. And so, yeah, contacting your financial institution, all of them, because you may not have accounts linked or what have you, but if you have separate accounts, making sure everybody, because we've seen it before where they'll contact one and then they get to us and we've put a stop to it a couple of times.
Yes.
And so now, what do you do to keep your information? I have my own procedures, like how I comport myself online, things like that. What do you do to keep yourself safe?
I think the two biggest things that I do, I monitor my account activity to make sure the transactions that I complete are mine, and that I monitor my logins for my app and for my online activity to make sure that my password hasn't suddenly not working.
Yes.
And then I monitor my credit report regularly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At least, because now annualcreditreport.com allows you to check it once a week until 2025. So you should be able to continually monitor any activity that might look unusual. But then there are those day-to-day things like, you make sure that you don't respond to text messages that from numbers you don't know, or answering phone calls to numbers that you don't know. There are a wide variety of ways that people try to get your information. And especially with the ever-increasing all the technology that's coming out that makes it available, that makes it easy for people to connect with each other but also access that sensitive information.
Absolutely.
What are some ways that scammers may try to get information?
So we've talked about text messages, right? They'll send you a text and say, click on this link, right?
Yes.
An email that looks legitimate. It always looks legitimate. Please click here to see that you've won a prize.
Oh, yes.
So they go for that easy bait. Those are probably the two things that most, a lot of the things that we're seeing now is people actually calling you and impersonating either a family member saying they need money, or even impersonating your financial institution. Yes. And saying we need the code that we just sent you, when really they're going to use it for bad things.
And so what should a person do if that happens? If they're contacted unsolicited from somebody pretending to be their financial institution or somebody close to them, what should their process be? If they're like, I'm not sure about this.
Trust but verify. I think that's one of the biggest things that we advocate, for and encourage our members and our team members to take advantage of, is to trust but verify. If you get a phone call from somebody, even if it's a family member, that seems to be kind of trendy now, hang up the phone and call them back.
At the number you have
saved.
Yes.
Because spoofing, you can spoof a phone number these days. Technology, while it is grand and exquisite and all the things that advancements that have come along with it, it does bring the bad with it and gives people the opportunity to take advantage of situations. So trust but verify. Hang up the phone, call it back. Don't click on those links.
Yes.
Stay vigilant. And if it sounds too good to be true, then walk away. It probably is.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things. There's a cybersecurity presentation that I do on occasion. And yeah, don't click on the links. That's the biggest thing, is if you receive an unsolicited communication, and especially if it's urgent, we get that training. And every year we're required as ECU employees to take that training of how to comport ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And that's one of the things I get to take home and share with my family. But not everybody knows, all the ways that people try to get access to your things. What's the best way for our members to keep themselves safe?
Again, staying vigilant, making sure that you understand who you're receiving communication from.
Yes.
If you're not expecting something from someone, whether it's a text message or an email and it's asking you to click on that link, pick up the phone and just call them at the number that you have saved, not that number that's in the text message or that's in the email.
Yes.
Look it up, Google it, use your resources to make sure you're actually contacting the right company or right merchant, and then verify that they did send it. And even sometimes I get a little too cautious in this. I'm like, it's from my brother. Jeffrey, did you send me?
Yes. And especially this time of year when that activity is much more, I guess, it happens a lot more often.
Right.
What's the craziest instance of fraud? We see it, fairly regularly. So what's the wildest instance that we've encountered?
There's a few of them, right? Identity theft wise, we were one of the stopping points. We had they were a member with us actually. And somebody applied for a loan under their name, and they had applied for 6 other loans with 6 other institutions.
Oh, wow.
And it was because of our due diligence and the connections that we have. We have a huge resource within our panhandle. We work really closely with other financials in Amarillo, the FBI, Amarillo Police Department. We really get to work closely with them. And so it was because of those networking that we were able to say, hey, something's not right here. Yeah. So identity theft wise, I think that's probably
6 other places. That's wild.
And within 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Okay. Now, who is most at risk? People obviously everybody is at risk. People need to comport themselves appropriately. However, there are people who may not be as best equipped to handle such a threat. So who are the people who are most at risk?
Unfortunately, it's our older population.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't understand how people can utilize technology to bring evil upon them.
Absolutely.
And to really harm them. So our older population really is the one that and especially the last few years that we've seen a big uptick in.
Well, especially with the advent of AI and advanced technology, they can do voice mimicking. There have been those instances where they'll get a call from a number that they don't recognize, but it's a local area code, and then they'll answer it, and there'll be a person claiming to be like a second, sort of like a grandson or a niece or a nephew or something like that. And it's distorted. They're either sick or they're from far away or they're calling, in some sort of distress and with some urgent request that is financially based. And these people get taken advantage of. And it's
absolutely.
Also, too, I would say people over the age of 65 are the most at risk, generally speaking, just because they, have the time to sit and visit or respond to communications and, again, not fully comprehend or want to believe, I guess, that people would leverage this technology that they use against them.
Well, and I have a hard time understanding AI and all the capabilities of it.
We're still all finding it out together. So
when I get a call from my mother and it maybe isn't even her, but it's her voice.
Yes.
It's hard for me to grasp that. And I've grown up with technology.
Yes.
So our older generations, that technology is still so new to them. I'm so much harder for them to understand all the capabilities that go along with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any key takeaways from your experience so far as Vice President and member experience that really can help our members, again, just sort of rest easy that ECU has their back, but here's the things that they can do. Any sort of wrap up for us? ECU's
first priority, obviously, is keeping member information and data safe and kept private, and it's so that it's only used to the extent that it needs to be used to by you and by us to help you, live out your daily lives. But I think the biggest thing that I would say is for you to stay vigilant. I think when it comes to that older population and when we think about how our youth and our younger people are involved in that, be involved, right? Be involved and understand, what those people in your lives are doing. Understand, give them easy tips, don't click the link.
Yes. Actionable. That's downloading. Okay, so here's one of my things that I sort of stand on is downloading those free games. When we talk about data, it's all of your data.
Sure.
And sometimes those free games have other components with them that people download, where it's like screen mirroring software or it's key logging software. And that is a real risk that people, again, it's free or it's monitoring activity. And, it can sell that data and sell that activity.
Sure,
and,
absolutely.
And that's how we get advertisements and personalized ads and all that stuff. But at the same time, there are nefarious actors too in that industry. So
absolutely.
Young people and who are, and our senior populations who are more at risk. There's different levels of risk for everybody. Yeah.
Well, and even that you could take that for yourself. We say be involved with your older, generations in but be involved with yourself. Understand what relationships you have and understand who you're signing up with and what information you actually are giving out. You have to be just as involved in vigilant in your daily activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jen. It's been
Thank
an absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
I always enjoy getting to talk to you, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time on The Core.